If you want these values to go out in the culture, well, we have to show that there is a sense of value for the value. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Virtue Signal. I'm Alfonzo Rachel with my buddy Bill Whittle, and it's his favorite topic because we're going to talk about the rap game. No, actually, no, we're not. But we'll talk about. It is a subject that's near and dear to my heart, Bill. I'm a musician, so I want to talk about music and the importance of music. And I think a lot of things are going to come out, in this, with where I'm going to be going with this, which I'm not totally sure where I'm going to go with it, but I hope that it'll have some sort of useful effect. Music. I'm a musician, and I always wanted to use music as a way to move messages. Music is probably the most powerful medium to do it. Entertainment in general, but particularly music. And with one of the things, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I saw Azalea Banks, who's a rapper, right? I saw Azalea Banks in the news because, and man, you want to talk about foul mouth, man. Azalea Banks is foul mouth all day. However,
so attractive.
But yeah, if only her music was as attractive as she's a lovely girl. She's very cute.
No, I mean the profanity.
But oh man, so she moves to Florida, right? Mm-hmm. And she's discovering, this is the place to be. Basically, you live in a Republican state, you're gonna feel safer. It's just better. It's a whole different world than living in LA. And she's basically saying DeSantis has got his thing together, so she's coming out with this endorsement, for lack of a better word, of praising how basically Republicans run things. Now, I guess, off the top of my head in response to this, hey, DeSantis, I would recommend, say, hey, Azalea, I appreciate this newfound perspective that you have. I would love to welcome an endorsement like yours. Let's clean up your act because you're still bringing that ideology, that foul mouth mentality that was in LA that leads to that kind of stuff. Come here and appreciate the freedom that we have here in Florida. Don't take the freedom that you're enjoying and people minding their own business to take that as a license to say, okay, well, you guys have your thing together. How can I screw this up, profanely screw this up? Please don't do that. So, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, the thing about music, and this is why music even beats movies or theater. Movies or theater, you go in with the voluntary suspension of disbelief, but you're in almost a hypnotic state. In fact, it is a hypnotic state when you're watching a movie or a play, but you're still having to interpret it, right? You're dealing with language, and your brain is decoding all this stuff. But music goes straight to your brainstem, right? You don't need anything. It just goes right at you to your emotions. A lot of for decades and decades now, conservatives have been complaining about the lyrics in hip hop music because they're so toxic. But along with that is the simple lack of music in that music, right? There isn't all of the classical elements of music, rhythm, harmony, melody, all of these things. They're just not there. It's just a click track and somebody rhyming profanities. And this is what people are taking in. So they're not only taking in the toxicity of the words, B's ain't S, right? That kind of thing. They're not only taking in the toxicity of the words, the simple, almost like the musical brutality of it, just the click beat, and there's nothing there. Now, there have been studies that say that if you expose children to classical music, their brains will develop much faster. To be perfectly honest with you, just because of where I grew up in the planetarium and stuff, the first album I ever bought was the Brandenburg Concertos, and that's not something I'm like waving my flags about, like look how bright I am, but it does give you a sense of the fact that there's like structure to music, and that music can be moving and beautiful without any words in it. Then you look at what. Let me back up. Are you have you ever just sat back and listened to, you go to a mall or something, and what you get is you get classic rock, right? You'll get Stairway to Heaven, or you'll get Hotel California, great example, right? And everybody's listening to Hotel California. That song's 40 years old now, right? Something like that.
Right.
I remember when it came out in the, was it late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s? We weren't listening to music from 40 years ago then. We weren't listening to big band music, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That music came out and is still being played 40 years later because it's good music. And I haven't heard anything. Well, that's not true. But virtually everything that I hear that comes out today is not going to last. Just as one example, and I'll get to the politics of it in a second, there's a Taylor Swift song called Blank Space, which I really like. And I like it because I like its musical structure. That song is going to be around for a while, I think, because there's music in that music. Now, as far as the whole going to Florida thing goes, yeah, this is the great fear, right? We know that Democrat cities are poison, and we know Republican cities, relatively speaking, are practically, utopian. So people go from the bad place to the good place, which is fine. Just don't bring the bad stuff with you. And your remark about DeSantis, I know it was a hypothetical remark, but it's really on point. So DeSantis shouldn't just say, hey, I welcome this very popular person's endorsement. What you said was, I would like to welcome this popular person's endorsement, but you're going to have to clean up your act a little bit first, because I'm not buying into the stuff you're bringing. You're not buying into it either, right? So I'm not going to basically pull myself down to that level of vulgarity by just plain saying, yeah, we're BFFs now. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you see the difference. And I'm glad that you can influence other people to see the difference. But you are going to have to change a little bit. And actually, you're going to have to change a lot. This is civil society that you live in now. We don't talk this way to other people here.
Thank you, man. The thing is, and I see a lot of, whether it be Republican voters or conservatives, they'll wrap their arms around music that's laced with profanity and stuff like that. Like, say, for instance, if there's a rock musician or a rap musician, they can have the most profanity-laced lyrics, but as long as there's some patriotism shown in there, then that's okay, right? At least it's patriotic profanity. And, that kind of stuff, it's like, look, we're supposed to be the party of standards and values. It's like, look, man, we want to encourage what you're doing. It's like, we want to support you, but hey, why don't you meet us halfway and be like, you can make as much of an impactful song without cheapening your song with the subject matter that you have in it, with all the profanity and whatnot. It's like, my kids are singing this stuff. It's in front of their grandmother, Yeah. And you might not want to do that, because no matter how well-intentioned or patriotic, whichever you think it is, those things will still contribute to the decline of a society. There's just no getting around that. Now, with me being a musician, and I talk about that, Bill, because it's discouraging and it's sad, because like me trying to promote my music, man, it's like a losing battle. And I have to wonder, and this is where I kind of want to ask about the shadow banning, or talk about the shadow banning a little bit. We've pretty much concluded that, yes, a lot of our content is dealing with what is so marginalized because of the shadow banning. But it still leaves you to wonder, is it just the shadow banning? And part of the thing is the part of the shadow banning that's so discouraging is how easy it is. It's so easy. It was so easy to just come in and just separate
Turn it down.
Yeah, just come in and separate you from your audience. And I say this, Bill, because it's not all about, oh, why me, why me? It's about this. When you have people who know that there's shadow banning going on, who knew who you were, and they just let big tech come in and erase you, it's not a why me kind of thing. It's like, look, guys, if we don't stand up for each other, right, we're going to have some big problems. We're having big problems now. We talk about how we need to take back the country and we need to take back this and take back that. It's like, really, we can't even take back our own camp. People are getting X'd out. And people aren't saying, hey man, let me, help you get out of this funk. Let me go ahead and share these videos. Sometimes it's almost like you're telling people, look, to beat the shadow banning, the way we can beat it is if you guys start share, please. But it's almost like asking for somebody's kidney. It's like, look, I'm just asking you to share the video.
Yeah.
Just share.
Could you hit the like button?
Right. Can you just do that? And it's like, no, I just can't get myself to do it. Right. So it's not about like being jealous of anybody else. We point these things out because, like, look, man, if we're not working together, the Democrats are succeeding with their divide and conquer, where you got these people out there seeking their own spotlight and enjoying people being thrown in a ditch. That kind of thing, that won't stand. We're being divided and we're being conquered. So with the music, I would hope, folks, if I can say this really quick, Bill, because this is another thing that comes to mind. I saw somebody put out a tweet, and this is a prominent conservative on Twitter, who says, why don't these rappers, why are they always singing about violence and shooting people and all that sort of stuff? Why don't they make songs about Christ? And I'm like, I tweeted back, and I'm like, well, here's my band. My band's not particularly a rap band. Maybe some of the lyrics can feel a little, rappish, but I'm more of a rock band. I'm not really a rap band. And so I tweeted that and said, and these are lyrical videos, and here's all the lyrics about Christ that you can, that you can stand. So there you go. Did I hear back from him? No. Did he retweet it?
Tumbleweeds.
No, right? And it's almost like conservatives, too many, just take the opportunity to show their virtue and how much they can complain about music being profane and all that sort of stuff, but they won't put that energy into supporting it. Support competition. Light a candle. Stop cursing the darkness. Light a candle. My channel, you can go to my channel. I got music on there. If you start sharing that, show that it's something that the market wants, you see more of it, and you might see a decline in some of the, trash that's out there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important points you've ever made on this, our 200th episode.
200?
Is that, yes, 200. Seems like thousands. No, but it's like, it's easy to complain about things. It doesn't require effort on some level. I hadn't really thought about it that way before, but on some level, it is a form of virtue signaling because you think you're making a stand or that you're trying to fight against something, but there is no outcome, right? It doesn't affect the needle. It's like me having a Free Tibet bumper sticker on my car, right? It doesn't change the situation. Right. You complaining about the situation doesn't change it. If you have to recognize the problem, and there's no problem with complaining, but then you have to do something about it for it to become actual virtue rather than just, oh, the world's going to hell. And, okay, it is. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Right? Where's the work going to be? And this is the problem that we all face. We've got George Soros alone, just him. Forget about the hundreds of millions that Zuckerberg and all the rest of them put in, but $40 billion into this stuff, right? And we're just, when you mention conservatives are like, backing guys who have still pretty questionable lyrics because there's a little bit of patriotism in there. It's like the pickings are so slim. It's like we're chickens, It's like we're chickens on this giant patch of dirt. It's like, there's something. I'll grab that, Then I'll walk around for another 10 minutes. Oh, there's another little seed I'll pick up. You gotta, if you want the team to win, you gotta back the team. You can't just cheer for the team. You gotta back them. You gotta do something. And this is the problem that we have here, along with many other people. We have a small number of members, and people watch the show, and it's free, and television's always been free, and many of the people who watch this are members, but many of them aren't, and you just end up saying, this cannot continue forever, right? We cannot continue to put out product for free if the product costs money, and it does. So, yeah, it would sure be nice to get a little. Somebody help us pull on the rope rather than just stand there and say, you guys are losing,
Yeah, definitely.
Come on in.
That's right. And for me, And if I can borrow the term, it's not about the money, and that brings up a whole other thing. But really, on my site, I give the music away, and it's like I could barely even give it away. And I know it's not that awful, right? It's like, folks, I know it's not
it's
that
actually
bad.
very good.
But it's like even to give it away for the purpose of, look, let's introduce some competition to this foul narrative that's going on out there. Use this powerful medium of music, show that there's a market for it, rather than just a market to complain about it. Even with rap music, I'm not a big fan of rap music for the reasons that you mentioned. It's because of what seems to be the lack of musicality. I really wouldn't say it's a lack of musicality because, in order to have a song, one of the key things that you need, well, you have to have a rhythm. And rap music is basically, that's what it is. Matter of fact, rap
that's all it is.
Yeah, it's an acronym. Rap is rhythm and poetry, right? So you do have this rhythm, and because of that rhythm, people can find some the elements to dance to it, right? So I get all that. I've kind of frowned on rap music where it became because the lack of how organic it is. It's sampled music and stuff like that. Of course, these are the resources available to us. Like, look, man, we don't in the hood, man. We don't have the money to get a band.
It's a click track.
Yeah, we don't have the money to get a band together. We're just gonna get a turntable, play some songs, and we're gonna do some poetry over it. That's what they had. And in a way, I say, hey, man, I admire your resourcefulness. You took something by menial means, and you guys have made a phenomenal enterprise out of it. I can appreciate that. But this is what you did with it. You put these profane lyrics on it. And just totally contribute to the decline of a civilization. I can't dig that. But with at least, I think a lot of people, just like you had mentioned, they don't appreciate the lack of skill, if you will, to, like, say, for instance, actually learn how to play an instrument and incorporate some orchestrations and things like that. Well, that shouldn't be a complaint with my music because I actually play actual instruments on my...
You're a musician,
right?
Man.
So if that's the case, if that was a problem, well, I got that problem solved. There's no profanity in my lyrics or anything like that. It's not just strictly rap music. It is rock music. And the market for conservatives listening to rock music is actually really huge. What am I doing wrong? Folks, I'm just trying to, now, is it the shadow? And once again, Bill, I'm not saying this to complain about why me. I'm saying
it's not you.
Yeah.
It's the people who should be putting up the money.
Yeah.
Don't believe in spending money on these things.
There you go. Right? And it's like, how can we show that our ideals are viable in the market if we don't support it? That's my contention,
Exactly.
Bill. That's where I'm coming from. It isn't about, folks, it ain't about why us, why aren't you paying attention to us, and why aren't you buying our systems? No. We're saying if you want these values to go out in the culture, well, we have to show that there is a sense of value for the values and the mediums that they go. These are the tools that the left has used to do so much damage. And people show that they have a value for the song that they're singing to go out there and do destruction. Can we show some value in what we're doing?
In the early days of World War II, before the U.S. entered the war, Churchill was begging for weapons from the United States. And Roosevelt set up the Lend-Lease program. But basically what Churchill said verbatim was, he said, if you give us the tools, we'll finish the job. Right? We're not even asking you to do the job. Just give us the tools and we'll do the job. Yeah. And I think that ought to be our motto. Just give us the tools, we'll do the job. Absolutely,
man. And the thing is, with those, even with the tools, they cost money and things like that. And we're just wanting, folks to understand the powerful mediums that these people have exploited and made so, much use of to do the damage. And we're just saying, hey, support our effort to break the spell is what yeah.
And on this episode, you'll find in the comment section right below, not in the comment section, directly below the video, you'll find a link to Zoe's most, to what he thinks is the best example. So click on that link and listen to it. And if you like it, share it. And you will.
I hope so, folks. And so we hope that you'll share this video, help get the message out there. And, we'd like to be able to take what we say. Maybe we can get a hold of that one guy who takes people's commentaries and puts them over like auto-tuned songs or something like that. Maybe that's what we need to do, Bill. We need to take whatever it is they're saying, we need to put it in a catchy song or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
But these things, hey, y'all, they move messages in the culture. So we need to be able to get out of this box, and
Give
be
us
able
the
to.
tools and we'll do the job. Yeah.
That's right. Give us the tools and we'll do the job. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for the Virtue Signal. I'm Alfonzo Rachel for Bill Whittle. Good day.